Should we still have a Sabbath? Need it be Sunday or one day a week?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah?
Deal with
You want to tackle that question?
Can I write it down?
Yes, you can. It's number 8, just on there. Cool.
We can tackle that.
So then we just talk about it.
Pitch some ideas.
So if we
How we should.
if we absolutely like fire through it, we can look at another one, or if we're feeling okay, we can just yes. I think we should still have a Sabbath because it gives us, I mean, it's biblical, it's in the Bible, and like if it was something that we were meant to like change, I feel like when the early church were starting, they would have been like, let's sack the Sabbath, we don't need it. But I think the fact that when God was like making the world, however you think about like the days and how long they were. Hey, Lucy. No matter like.
You could just sit right here.
No, she's coming here.
Sit in the middle.
Lucy Charles isn't here again, so we're doing a wee question, and the question that's been selected is: do we still need a Sabbath?
Ooh.
Or does it need to be a Sunday? Does it need to be like one day a week? So we're just diving into that. So I think it's good that we have one, because I mean, like when God making the earth, like no matter like how long like each like day was, whatever the deal is with that, the fact is that still at the end he took a break. He took a break, and I find myself I could often do with more than just like one day a week as like my Sabbath day, just because it's a time to recharge and refocus. Alright, because I guess another a question that I have with it is that, like, I guess Sunday is like our Sabbath day and when we have church and stuff, but then for a lot of us, if we're like serving on a Sunday, whether it's in the morning or whether it's at Soul or something like that, or if we're working, Sunday isn't really the Sabbath day, and then I don't know, but yeah, I think it's good that we have one. I don't know if it's like, I don't think it has to be Sunday. I think it's good if it is like a full day, just because it gives us time to like focus. But I don't know, because it's interesting following on, because last week we talked about like how do we rest with God.
Yeah.
I think there's part of it like that we might not be able to find a full day which is able to dedicate it as not working, just like resting. Maybe it's, for some of us, it's just something that we have to find in each day, like a mini Sabbath. I don't know, depends. A wee mini Sabbath.
I like that. Because I think it can be quite easy to excuse work as like, oh, you know, like this is something God's called me to do, and therefore it's actually like something holy, and therefore it's okay to do on the Sabbath, when actually that's not what God means by Sabbath.
Sure.
He means like rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also think like God, he probably didn't need a rest, but it was an example for us. You know what I mean? So I kind of think there's always a reason why he did a certain thing.
Yeah, sure.
So
I mean, because
it's
it's like he's super all
he
powerful, all like he can do whatever. So he didn't like have to like have a wee little snooze. But yeah, absolutely. Yes.
I think also just meaning that, like, as well, it's just because it's a Sabbath day that's put aside, is not to just focus all your time on God on just that one day.
Oh yeah,
and it should be that you shouldn't feel like I can't spend it another day because it's not a Sabbath. It should just be like, but there's one day set aside specifically, like,
sure,
in particular.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a really interesting point you said as well about serving. Like, does that count as Sabbath, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I guess a lot of people, which I guess I've kind of seen a bit with like Dan and Becky and Ian, because their day off is, they have like different days off. I think Ian's might be Wednesday, Dan and Becky have Monday, and like just like speaking to different worship leaders, they have them on like Mondays or like Fridays and stuff. And I think it's kind of like Sunday isn't really their Sabbath, just because they're doing so much, and it's really that day off when they're able to like recharge and focus. Yeah.
I think I definitely used to be better at the start of uni as having Sunday as my Sabbath.
Sure.
I think because it's quite nice because you do have church, so
Yeah.
you're like, go to church and then do nice things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like you say, if you're serving, it's kind of different.
Sure.
And I think nowadays it's kind of easier to be like, oh, well, I might have an exam soon, so I might do some work then,
Yeah,
but I'll have
sure.
a Sabbath another day.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And I think, like, although we like might have like time off, it's like what we're sometimes it can not feel like we have like a day of rest or Sunday, because on that day off we're like worrying so much about like work things or uni things or like serving things that can kind of like that takes the priority of the day, and it's not so much about just like chilling out and hanging out with friends or whatever it is, that like our mind's like still totally active, so it's kind of being able to like switch that off and kind of be like, it doesn't matter about writing my dissertation today or looking for a job today or thinking about like what I've got to do for work the next day. It's just about trying to consciously be able to switch off. And I think, yeah, like even if you can't set aside a full day to do that, just trying to do that like when you get home after work or something that's good to do.
Yeah, definitely.
I also think like you were saying like you might find it like difficult like the day that you choose is your Sabbath day, you find it difficult to like set aside time for like God or time to rest, but to ask God show me how to do that. Because I was thinking, oh, how would I rest? Would I go with my friends? Would I feel like I had to like sit and pray and be quiet for the whole day? But God's like, well, I think everyone has their own their own quiet time, but their own way of resting. So like just to ask God, reveal to me how I can rest in the Sabbath or how I should use my Sabbath day, and he'll reveal to you the truth. So whether or not he'll say, do you think you should be helping on that day, or do you think maybe you should pass that aside and focus on this? But like he would just lead you to be able to, because he wants you to rest as well, so he's going to help you with it just like anything else. He'll help you achieve whatever you want to achieve. We were doing like Moses in Roar, and we were kind of like learning about how Moses felt like he couldn't do a lot of stuff. He couldn't lead a whole group to freedom, but God was like, I'm going to tell you what you're going to say to them. You don't even have to think about what you're going to say to people. And he gave him all these like miracles, but he still doubted God. So I think sometimes we doubt God that he's going to actually manage to like do what we ask. So if we ask for rest, he's not going to not do it for us. You know what I mean? So he is going to, because I think rest is so important, because I know that I've had 7 days without resting and it gets too much, and you start blaming God for no time for him, but you haven't set aside time for him. That was the thing. Yeah.
I think that's really good with like Moses, because I guess when he started like leading them like through after they'd crossed like the Red Sea and were kind of like on the road, that like he was kind of like, oh my word, I've got like these 100,000 people or however many Israelites there were, and he was like trying to do everything himself. But then God and the people he was with were like, you need to have like, I think it was his dad or his father-in-law was like, oh, you need to delegate to people and give other people jobs and other people like looking after different groups, so that you can deal with the important stuff, and then it allows you're not going to get crazy burnt out like having to do everything. So I think throughout the Bible, and whether it's, I guess we talked about it a bit last week, but like Jesus going to find that like quiet place, and like Paul having like prayer times by himself and things like that, it shows that rest and having a Sabbath or whatever it's called is something that like we always need to have. So have we answered the question
I think we've
in a
answered
record
it.
time?
I think it's pretty good.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan, are you satisfied by?
Pretty satisfied.
All right. Should we?
Pretty satisfied.
Should we do another one?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Or you can go with that one before you just keep saying, yeah, Sam.
14. Oh my word, 14 feels dangerous.
Am I still the person to choose?
Yeah.
many questions is there? Like, how much did we
Well,
write?
it was like,
total?
you're the person to choose, we'll do the question.
There's 19 at the moment. We did one.
I don't like that
There's
responsibility.
like now there's like
At all.
17. Like I
Everyone's
don't
picked 2. Oh, like 1.
I think like Darren has been like collecting them. So at the start there was only like a few,
Mm-hmm.
and then one day there was just like 20. Yeah. So
That's funny.
14, Ilsa, you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
This is like if the first one was like level 1, this is like level
16.
2 or 3. I guess level 5 is the second death one.
Mhm.
Why did God allow the Bible to be so confusing? Why not let everyone easily understand it?
Ooh.
Yeah, because we did that really quickly, we'll manage that one.
We'll manage this one, okay.
Now
We
you
can do
again
it.
bought it.
Yeah, so why did God, number 14, why did God allow the Bible to be so confusing? Why not let everyone understand it?
Wow, that's so.
I
you-
understand why they asked it.
I
don't
understand. I can understand it, but I'm like,
Why are you like that, Isla? Explain.
I think it's about a faith sort of thing. Like, God didn't make life easy, really, did He? He didn't like give it to us on a plate. Because He just made us as robots. If He wanted us, like, everyone to just follow Him, so He needed like faith in there.
Exactly.
And I think if it was just an easy book, you wouldn't actually explore into it and get your own sort of views and like be able to actually like ask questions and meet up and do what we're kind of doing just now.
Sure.
It would almost just be
Yeah.
too like straightforward, and you think
Yeah.
this is too straightforward.
Yeah.
What's going on, God?
Yeah, sure. You get like bored.
Yeah,
It's
as
like,
well.
oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. The Bible's just like a wee little like storybook.
yeah.
It's just like a wee little Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. You just read through it. It's like, I got it. I got it.
Completed it.
Memorize the audiobook. I've
Yeah.
listened to it.
Because I think if you don't ask questions about it, then you're not confused, if that makes sense. Like, if you're confused and you want to ask questions about it and you want to explore more. So that's why, if you say, oh, wait, what was the question again?
Why
Was
does
it-
God allow the Bible to be so confusing?
It's a good question. It's a good question. I think it's confusing. I think it's because we don't understand it, and I think it's like because like we only have so much, like, as a human, we only can think like in our human minds, but like God wrote the Bible, but it like in His mind, if that makes sense. So like if we're trying to understand it with our human minds, it's going to be confusing and it's going to be like complex to us. But I think like Dana said about like asking questions, and if it's straightforward, you're not going to be like, oh well, this is easy. Like, it's like a challenge, you know what I mean? Like, it's good.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's good.
I think the church has a big part to play as well.
Yeah.
Because if, as a church, we're like, oh, it's very confusing, which is true, it is, but then we pitch it in a way that we can make Christianity only accessible to certain people,
Okay, sure.
which isn't right, and wouldn't have been right for Jesus. Like, like look at his followers. Like, they were not educated. They,
Yeah, sure.
and yet those are the people who were writing it. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be. I think we can, as a church, be like just assuming that people might not be able to understand it, and therefore almost discount people when that's just not true.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think just like practically the fact that it's written by like so many people. There's like different authors and they all like, obviously Jesus breathed into them, but they're all going to write in a different way and focus on different things. And it's just like when I read the different authors at like university, like talking about like politics or something, that there'll be certain authors that their style and the way they explain things, I'm like, I'm absolutely on it. But then somebody else, and I think what they're talking about as well, because since we've talked about God being kind of like a diamond, like there's so many like facets to who He is and how He's, even if we could write all the books in the world about Him and had unlimited time, we still would be finding new things. We couldn't explain it all. So it's trying to point to all these different sides of God within this one book and trying to show them off. There's always going to be bits that we just don't understand, and even all the things that touches on in the Bible, that's only the start of it. And the fact that like some books are meant to be like historical books, some are meant to be more like poetic, some are about wisdom, some are like talking about like prophecies and things. They're all different like types of ways of speaking and different types of literature. And Isla, as you were saying, like us as individuals, one way we'll understand and appeal to a lot more than other ways. So I think it's the fact that it's so complex allows us to each like pull out different things which are just like, oh, I totally get that. That little nugget is just for me. That little chicken nugget, I can eat that all day, chew on it all day.
And it comes back to what both of you guys are saying, that faith is about like not understanding everything.
Yeah.
It's about taking that leap, and so we're never going to understand all of it. But I guess faith will look different to different people depending on how much they need to understand in order to take that leap of faith. But I think within faith there is an acceptance that you're never going to understand it all, because then we'd be God.
Yeah.
We're not God.
It's Andy Croft's analogy of the iPhone. Do you remember that? So it's like at Source 5, Andy Croft used like basically like his like to show how, like, so say you took an iPhone and you took it down to like Downton Abbey times and tried to explain it to them, but you didn't have one, but you tried to explain it to them, and you're from the future and it is real and it is like there, and they would picture it in this massive thing. Nah, it can't work, and that's how like we can, or people that don't believe in God can picture God. So it's kind of like it's not possible, it's not real, it can't happen. Like, but
that analogy was so cool.
That was ace. It still sticks in my head.
It was like
all the time.
They'd be like, so it can play music, so it's like a gramophone
with a camera on it.
Yeah, and it can also like tell you the weather, so it's like you stick on a barometer
forecast,
or whatever it is.
This massive thing.
And it's like, oh no, it's just a wee phone. It's just a wee, look at it. You just press the button and it tells you. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah. What's the second like part of it? Okay, yeah, why not let everyone understand it?
I think people sometimes either confuse confusion to not believing as well, because I think people are confused with something, they'll they'll just kind of count it as not true, or if they're kind of like reading something, they're like, whoa, that is like too unbelievable. I'm confused about that. So use the word confused rather than I don't believe that. What's the truth? I feel like so I think God's really good at clarifying a lot of things, and I think he's really direct when it comes to, like, when you ask him something, I can't say for everyone, but for me he's been really direct. So if I have any questions, I don't doubt he's not going to tell me what I need to know about that question, because each question to him is just as valuable as anything, and he wants us to understand the Bible. And I think he wants us to understand what he has to say. I don't think he's going to make it in a way that we'll never know, but then again, like, I obviously do understand how there's just maybe some things that we should just be happy not knowing, because we are not God. So why do we have the right of knowing everything? But then again, I still believe that, like, he is open to sharing as much as he can of himself. He's not going to hold anything back. So I think it's just like a question we'll never really truly understand. It's just kind of like one of those where there's two, I guess, understandings for me, but I'm okay not knowing. Like, yeah. But
yeah, I guess it's something we just kind of need to, like, understand that we're never gonna, like, be able to know, like, everything. If that's what we're, like, striving for, we're always gonna feel, like, unsatisfied. If it's like, okay, I know this much, but I need to know more, and then it's like, oh no, I've learned new things, but I've forgotten the old things, so I need to go back and learn them. We're never gonna be able to, like, reach, like, max wisdom or knowledge level or whatever, and we just need to understand that we're not going to be able to know it all.
Yeah. I think I like how you said it's all about faith and it's about trusting that everything that you're reading, even if you don't understand it, it's having faith. Okay, you know what, God, I don't understand this, but I know it's your word. I'm gonna still value it just as much as the other stuff that I do understand. Just having that same kind of thing, like, don't understand this part, but I know and trust that's just as important as all the bits that I do understand. And it's just like reading the story, like reading the Bible is like a journey, and it's going to be up and down in all journeys and everything like that. So it's just like, it could be just, if you're confused or you don't understand something about in the Bible, it just could be like a dip in the road, or it could be just that, but there's always just one road, if that makes sense. Like, there might be up and down, but it's still directed to the same thing, if that makes any sense. But yeah, it's just having that faith of just believing something that you don't see or don't understand, knowing, okay, it's coming from you, so it's important, even though I don't know what it means. I know it's from you.
Yeah.
Still gonna love it. So yeah, I think it's that.
I like what you said, Isla, about like the up times and the down times. Like, since the Bible's like so complex with like what it says, that often it's like God can be telling you like one thing when things are good and you're reading like through like a passage or a story, it can be telling you one thing, and then when you're reading it a couple of years later and things aren't going so well in that moment, can reveal something new in that moment, just because it is so complex and needs multiple readings to draw new things out of it. And I kind of think that it's kind of, do you know those like, is it Venn diagrams, which are the ones which have like bits that overlap?
Yeah.
That it's kind of like each one of those like things, like, oh, I don't understand, that kind of like they all kind of overlap, which is like new revelations of like God's love kind of in the middle, which is like they're all just like bringing you back to this like center point. I don't know if that analogy works that well, because I don't know, anyway, but it's like these things, like these questions, they're constantly drawing you back into and showing you these different sides of who God is and how he loves us, and without that complex nature and that complex description of it and delving into it in the Bible, there wouldn't be that level of, you wouldn't be constantly drawn back in if it was just like you were just given like the story of Jesus and it said at the end, and God did this because he loves you, the end, and it was just like that story. And it's, although there is still so much to dig out of the story of Jesus, the fact that you've got this whole narrative stretching back and continuing forward to us, it's just really shows like new layers. There's new layers. There's always new things. Yeah. Anything else? We just smashed it again. It's just like quick fire round.
Give us a hard one.
I know, give us a hard one. What are we on? We're not even 8 o'clock. Oh my word! Damn, it's because
you're gonna get back and there's no questions left.
No, it's because you're here. We're flying through.
Sure enough.
7. Ooh. Oh gosh, that's 7. Oh my word! Okay, this is stepping it up a bit.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
I'm scared.
This one, like, the first point is like super savage, and then the second is like softens it a little bit, but not that much. Okay, yeah, this is gonna take up the rest of our time.
Love it.
Question 7. Else you're deciding if we're doing it. What is the point of life?
Oh, okay.
Nice,
all
do
right.
it. Nice.
Why do some people have good lives and some have bad?
This is gonna definitely take the rest of the time.
Yeah, I mean, those are two, like, they could be standalone.
That's like
questions.
one end of the other. That's like one end.
Yeah, it's like.
They're two.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're two different.
we could,
Yeah.
we could do it because we're obviously a good team. So
Yeah, well,
we're obviously
Me as well.
Confident, you sound like it.
Should we just do it?
Yeah.
okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
I love hard questions like
Nice.
that. It's good.
Right, do you want to kick us off then? What's the point of life,
It's
Daniel
funny 'cause
Wood?
my worker actually
Point of
said
life.
that
Yeah?
this week, because she actually.
Did she?
not this
Is she
week,
in our YAG
yesterday.
group?
No,
Did she ask the
That's
question?
she asked, and I was actually thinking about how funny is that. She actually said, "What is the point?" Because she was like, "You literally just work, eat, sleep, and repeat, and
You
you're
should have
dead."
been like, oh, just come to
And-
a wee alpha. We
and
got
I
it.
know-
That was what I was going to start with. I think
Oh,
we were
right,
really-
right.
I was like, alpha. Alpha
How
is...
do I respond to that?
It's like
She did
the, it's
ask-
there
she
more
asked,
to
like,
life.
what's the
Yeah.
point?
And it's got the
I was
like...
like, forgot.
It's got that little video that's like the conveyor belt. Did they speak Spanish?
Huh?
Did they speak Spanish?
No.
All right.
Oh,
Just-
Spanish alpha.
Spanish alpha
Yeah.
is like a 1 weekend.
Mhm.
I'm gonna have to wait till a bit later for normal.
Like they could learn.
No, but what's her name?
Pamela.
Pamela. A Pamela or Pamela?
Pamela.
My name is a Pamela.
Imagine it's
Pamela.
like... I'm
P-A-M.
also
Pamela.
I'm called the Pamela.
La.
Hola.
Pamela.
Pamela.
Yeah, Pamela.
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 Hi. If she's still like, what is this life thing?
Yeah, and
Ask
she'd
her
be
to
old
Alpha.
enough to like come here and
Just-
stuff like that. I think she's
yeah.
like 24.
Just send her the like recording of us doing
Yeah.
it.
Hey, a Pamela, come to Alpha.
I just won't say anything. I'll just send it.
Hey,
to, like-
Tammy.
I'm like, this is
Tammy,
like
come to
you
Alpha.
are.
What is the point of life? Should we
The
start with
point,
that
or
one?
was it the mean? It was
Point.
the point.
The
isn't
point,
it?
sharp,
Even
even
more like-
even more dicey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right,
I
Dan,
mean-
Dan, you got some wisdom if you're up on this. Here we go.
okay.
Here we go.
So I think it comes from different perspectives. So if you're not a Christian, the point of life is literally just like as Alpha kind of states, is like the kind of grow up, study, get a job, have a family,
Mm.
go on, live your life, and then that's about it. So that's like kind of the point of life. But from a Christian point of view, it's really just to be serving God, and to be having a great relationship with Him and like moving down the path that He's set for you. And I think the point really is just to follow God's plan for you, whether you find that easy or difficult. I think that would be the main goal in for life on earth.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember where it's from. I think it's like a Catholic thing, like not their doctrine or their creed or something, but it's something. It's that, and they were speaking about it a lot at the like Worship Central like courses and stuff. It's like the aim of life is to worship God and enjoy Him forever, which is like the first time I was like, what does that mean? What does that mean? But it's like, I mean, worship God, obviously we think about a lot of singing, but it's really just like giving our lives as
And everything you do.
yeah, and everything we do exactly for God's glory, and to like enjoy Him forever, I guess, is just kind of realizing that it's not like we're just like working as like servants to serve, and then it's like, oh, that was a hard shift, but I'm in heaven now, so it's all good. But the fact that I mean, that's the best possible thing we can be doing is to serve God and to exactly, Dan, as you were saying, like follow like His plan for us, what we feel. That's like, if we stick on that road, that is the best possible thing for our lives, the best way it can be. And I guess part of that is that, as it says at the end of Matthew in chapter 28, it's about I think it's 28. I'm saying it's 28. It's 28.
29.
No. Oh no, it's gonna be 29. No, oh no. That's a softball. I should have that. I think it's 28. I'm going for 28. That like like that the Great Commission that Jesus gives out to go out and tell people, and make disciples of all nations, so that it's not just like once we're in the Jesus club, we can just like chill here and enjoy Him forever and worship as like a little crew, serve each other like coffee and just have hang times, which is all awesome because we need that fellowship, but actually taking it out and being bold and showing ourselves being the light of the world. Yeah, and just the fact that that's the best thing we can do. Just that is the point of life, to worship God. Is it 28?
I've got like go out and train everyone you meet far and near in this way of life, marking them by the baptism of
That sounds good.
Father, Son,
Yeah,
What was it?
that sounds good.
28.
28.
Seems legitness from the
Charles will be proud.
What?
Matthew 28.
near the end.
Near, I think the last chapter of
It's the
Matthew.
last, yeah.
You should be like, I'm 29.
29.
Brackets.
Yeah.
I also think for me, I think so far my purpose is to also like have a job as well. Like obviously, like I know that my life is dedicated to God and His plan, and it could be completely different to what I'm doing now. But I also feel like God's like telling me to have a job, telling me to work hard, telling me to eventually maybe have a family and have that, so that when I'm going through those steps that maybe a non-Christian would automatically do, I'm meeting those people. And that's the only way that I'm going to meet those people, is if I live a life like that but through God in a different way. So I have like, because I always think, oh, I don't go out on missions and stuff like that, and maybe I'm not like doing what I should be doing, but that, like, you know, because obviously like I always think doing God's plan is going out to Africa or going out somewhere amazing and helping do missionary stuff. But I honestly do believe that my mission is having a job, you know, keeping it, working on my family life and also my future, and then I'll meet people that I need to meet. That's what I believe my plan is. So far it could completely change, but that's what I believe.
Yeah,
right
absolutely.
now.
Well, I think it's what God's plan is for you, so that
Yeah.
could be that to be working and to be like the people, as you said, the people you meet. It might be that you manage to change people's lives through the way you work, or by the way you act, or by the way you do things.
Exactly.
And you might have more of an impact doing that, being the person that you are, than you would if you were out in Africa for 6 months of the year,
Exactly.
or whatever you're doing. But it's just where God's placed you, depending on
Exactly.
what's right.
I think like always, like where your your home is always like your first like missional field, I guess. It's like, is your WCC Westhill, Aberdeenshire, Aberdeen City, Scotland, the UK, Europe. Yeah, it's kind of like you weren't just like plopped in this place like accidentally, like
Yeah, could you imagine?
it's like you're playing the Sims and you picked up like Johnny
It's a
Bravo
sign
and you're like, you're going in this house. Bloop. Yeah,
Sorting hat.
Slytherin. Yes. Nah, Gryffindor all the way.
Slytherin.
I am a
I
Gryffindor.
saw my...
I'm officially
Gryffindor, then a wee
Gryffindor.
little
I'm a
Hufflepuff,
Slytherin.
then a wee little
Are you
Slytherin.
Slytherin?
Ravenclaw at the bottom because I've got
Yeah,
socks.
but like
of all the
everyone
houses.
hates on it, but
The only sock I've lost is
they're,
one of
they're the best
Ravenclaw.
house.
Yeah,
So it's
Gryffindor.
like,
No!
They're the most influential part of Harry Potter.
Gryffindor. All the
So
way.
then you have to,
All the
you
way.
have to
All the
got
way, Gryffindor.
Snape, who throughout the
Snape.
whole thing,
Snape is
character.
actually a good title.
literally.
he's the
So I
main character.
appreciate
I'm saying, but
Snape.
he literally like the whole.
No.
No, I think
No.
Gryffindor.
Where would you be without Hermione? Without Hermione?
Hermione's hopeless.
What?
Without Hermione,
she peeked the
you'd
Chamber
be
of
off.
Secrets
Yeah,
then
and
and
then
then.
dead.
They'd be off.
She was
They'd be
good.
off.
She was
She
like
was, like,
knew
the
about the basilisk, but that was it.
They'd be off.
Person in
She had the
football.
mirror.
You're
Wee
like,
mirror.
what do you do? You
What?
know? I mean, I just...
just
I
about
Don't even get
Snape.
me started.
It's
This
just
getting
about
me more
Snape.
angry than a question.
We can delve into this after.
It's like the next question. What house would you be in?
I know.
This one in.
My initial questions to Charles were like, what's his like going to bed sleeping pattern? Because you want to know when he goes to
Oh,
sleep and when he
yeah.
wakes up and what he does, because he's a wonderful man. You are, Charles. I know you're listening. And what would his like all-time 11-a-side football team be? I think he had Roberto Carlos at left back.
Nice. Nice.
Anyway, back in the question.
funny.
Purpose of life.
What were we talking else? Oh, where did we get
It's
to?
well, so far.
No, I was
mission
something
fields.
about not being plopped.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're not just. I feel like not being brought up in Westhill, not knowing the people I know, just like for like any old reason. I feel like God's going to use that, and yes, as you were saying, you don't have to go away to some other country or somewhere to be missional and to spread it. And like God in the Bible, lots of people did God's work while they were doing like another job. I mean, yeah, very very few people were kind of like just like full time on the road like
Yeah.
Paul, like going from here to here and here. And I even think Paul, he had like some other, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel he had like an occupation as well that he would do as well, other than just going and speaking all the time. Maybe that's wrong, but I feel like he did. He certainly had a job before when he was persecuting Christians. He certainly had a job, had a good education. But like, out of where we are, like where our home is, out of like what our like job is, whether it's being a wee doctor or being a wee nursery nurse or being unemployed as I am currently, or working in M&S, or it's about where we are and doing that in the day-to-day rather than kind of just going out for 3 months or 6 months. Like, obviously that's absolutely amazing, and if you're called to do that, that's clearly God using you in an amazing way. And it's just for each one of us, Dan, as you were saying, like what the plan is we have for us in that place, doing all we can and just going where we feel that God's leading us to.
I think on the kind of missionary side of it as well, what I was speaking about is like, it can actually be harder to be a missionary in the place that you work and then the place that you've been brought up in than it can if you go away. Because if you were to go away to do a missions trip, that is your focus, and that is like you're here and you raise the money and you're on your way and you're like, right, let's do this. Yeah, I am going. Whereas if you're here, it can be hard to like, it can be harder to speak to like say your friends about God or just people that you come across, or because people know you here and whatever. But like, it's just yeah, no, that was a bit dramatic. But yeah, I think it could be, which it actually means that, well, it's more of a like a gift from God being able to do it as well.
Yeah,
because
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, because you like
you shouldn't be putting it down as to go and like, you might see more miracles happen if you go with different people or different things or different groups, or you can still see the same results and the same things. Yeah,
it's sort of like the stakes are higher when it's with people that you know and like are working with, because like you feel like if you push a bit too hard about
like,
Jesus or like church, or maybe come to an alpha, it's like you could like totally like screw up that friendship or something, and it's like absolute disaster for Scotland.
Yeah, not working anymore. I've been fired.
Wee Jimmy doesn't like me anymore. I was meant to bring him to church, but now it's over. Whereas like if you're going to him away, like nobody knows you. I mean, I certainly found that just that week I was away last summer, that like since like I didn't know anyone, I was like fine being like, yo,
prayer, like
Jesus loves you, yo, Christian, what up, let's play Connect 4. Cool. I think that's good. That was point of life. It was treacherous question, but we've dealt with it.
I think
what was the end bit of it?
See, I feel the second question deserves
more, like
its own like its own question. Like,
so like just like tick the.
We're absolutely flying. I can't believe it. Yeah, and it feels like we've answered each of these questions in a deep, meaningful, well-rounded. Everyone contributing. We've got it.
Proud of us.
Charles, are you proud?
Charles, are you proud?
Is this live?
Yeah, it's recording. Yeah, that's the Charles is like at home. I am proud. A tear rolling down his cheek. They've done so well. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Does anyone else have anything to say on like the point of life?
I just think without life, you wouldn't be able to like. God's given you a life, and God's given you all these journeys that you're going to go through, because that's the only way for Him to show His love and Himself through those things. So without it, we would just know Him, but like we're actually having that hunger to know Him, and we're experiencing it in life, and we're experiencing it together as well. And yeah, so I just think like life is a a way of him being able to show himself to us. So yeah, I think it was just what you guys were saying. It was just the purpose or the point of life is to worship God and everything like that, but also for a chance for us to know about him and learn more about him as well.
Yeah. And just like if we didn't have life, we couldn't see the
His
world
beauty.
that he has made. We couldn't see his beauty. We couldn't stand on the mountains and look over and see, wow, the glory of the Lord is manifest physically in creation.
Amen.
He literally sung the world into being.
Charles, can I get an amen?
He spoke the world into being. He was like, he also made the stars.
Charles stopped crying.
Stars. Okay, now you have taken it too far.
Charles walks off.
I know.
Walks upstairs to his bed.
That light just goes.
Cool. This is so good. Right, let's see if we can do the second half of the
two-part.
why. This might be more tricky, to be fair. Why do some people have good lives and some have bad lives?
I think it's your perspective.
Your perspective.
Your perspective.
Can you dig into that a bit more?
Because I think if someone says, I've got a bad life, it's how you're looking into it and you're blocking out the things that are good. Because I wouldn't say someone's got a bad life. I mean, the situations or scenarios or what they're dealing with could be bad, but I just don't think God would give you a life for it to be bad, if that makes sense. But just the things that you're going through are the difficulties. But with that, there's always hope in it. There's never not hope, even in the darkest of times. So when some people have bad lives, I know that some people are less fortunate than us, but that I wouldn't say it's a bad life. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't say...
You weren't given a bad life.
I wouldn't say that, oh, you were chosen to have a bad life and me to have a better life. I would just say that for each individual, you have a... It's very for a person, if that makes sense. Like, your life is your life, and it's just the way that you see it and the way that you just, I don't know, it's just how you think in your head. Is my life a bad life? And just asking God to just show the truth over that, because I think, God has a plan to prosper you, not to harm you, to give you hope in the future. So just with that goes for everyone. And if people have a good life, it just, maybe people are more aware of their blessings and they're maybe seeing it a little bit more clearer. So that's what people might say, oh, I've got a bad life, or I've got a good life, because they're maybe seeing it a bit more clearer, and some aren't. You know what I mean? Just different perspectives. Is that alright?
Sure. I mean, the difficult thing is like thinking, like if someone who's maybe they're born into like not the greatest like family situation, and maybe like not a lot of money, like maybe like need to like leave school to like work, and then just the situation around them, just the bad circumstances, and just like they didn't choose to have any of that. But compared to like my upbringing, which I think was pretty darn good, or someone else, it's not as like good like as a setup for their life, and they didn't choose any of that. So I mean, for me, I don't think there's like there's any real like question. Like, I believe that even in those circumstances, God has a plan, and God for that person, and God sees them, and God knows them, God loves them, and has a purpose for that situation. But yeah, like I wonder like how I would deal in a situation like that, and I imagine it wouldn't be too well knowing myself. And then there is the question of, I mean, it says in the Bible, and Jesus says how they talk about like the sort of the different talents. So one person was given 5 talents, one was given is that either 10, 5 or 1, or 5, 2 and 1. But anyway, they were given different talents, and that's like, in the story we speak about money, but it is a reflection that each of us, some of us are given more talents or than others. I mean, that doesn't mean that one person is higher in God's eyes than any other, but that's just the nature of it. I mean, I don't know why we don't all get given the 5 talents and we're all just given these gifts in this such a way that we're all lavished equally. But that's in the Bible, so God must have a reason for that, and he must have a reason for allowing people to be in these situations. But I think it is a really difficult question to like, because it's not like God's like, okay, good, you get a good life, you get a good life, you get a good life, you get a bad life. It's just the way that situations and the world is warped to allow situations like that to happen.
I think you always got to remember as well, there is a devil in the world, isn't there? So like you got the two, like God always offer the, like his, if you're to follow God in your life, he'll always offer you his plan and his what he wants for you, and he can always help you through hard situations or hard times. But you've always got to remember there's a devil who is constantly fighting against that. And it comes back to the whole thing about the world being perfect. If it was perfect, then everyone would just believe, and then there'd be no side of faith to things. But I wouldn't say it's that so people have bad lives or good lives. It's just how you were saying about the perspective things. It can be probably how close you are to God at certain points in your life, I would say, dependent. But then, as you said as well, it's like sometimes it's just somewhere a bit more unfortunate, dependent on like current like situations, and obviously with different like parts of the world as well, it can be a bit difficult, which can then counteract it, because it can make it even harder for somebody that's living this sort of like life that could be looked at as like a bad life, or just like a harder situation, to actually believe in God. Which is even harder, whereas we have it quite easy, and some of us still kind of have doubts and still kind of find it hard to believe, whereas there's some people who live in like poorer areas and like really hard situations who are still all for God, which is actually
it's like
massive.
Me like having great family, going to like primary school, Westhill primary school, good school.
You level E maths, nailing it.
Getting to go to university, getting to do a wee masters, able to like have opportunities like Worship Central and things like that, and still I'm like, oh God, not today, mate.
It's raining outside, gosh.
Oh mate, mate, where are you today? You just ran away, mate. Are you there? Are you even there?
The other thing is that we don't have to rely on anyone. Generally speaking, we have very fortunate lives. We can get anything we need at the supermarket.
Sure.
Our culture is not to rely on people. And actually, when all that's stripped away, like, we rely on God. So I think, like you were saying, like, actually sometimes, I don't know, for me anyway, the times where I find it easiest to speak to God is if I'm going through a hard time. Whereas when I'm going through a great time, God's like absolutely blessing me. I'm just like, a fab. Oh yeah, God, you're there.
This is all me because I am pretty amazing.
No, but that's 100% true. It's always like when you're like, oh God, I need you now. I need you. Now everything's all good. He's right.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I think with the question like, why do some people have good lives and some have bad? I think, don't laugh, I watched this documentary on Talisa from X Factor, the judge, and she has a lot of money. She has a good life, and she's counted as one of the best lives. She actually lives in a mansion. She's got, good friends around her, but she got in a lot of trouble, and she got blamed for something she didn't do, and she got to the point where she was so low she couldn't go outside her house. She had to sell that because there was paparazzi in front of her house. Felt like a prisoner. She was making a documentary on how she got so distraught. So she had a bad life then. So I think sometimes we always think of people that have bad lives and how they can technically have good lives, but even us can sometimes think you've got a bad life and we've got everything, really. So I think it's just kind of like we have to define what's a good life and what's a bad life. Is it our circumstances, how much money we've got, or is it what we're doing with our life? Because I would count myself having a good life, but for me it's not what I have or where I live. It's I've got a family, I've got 2 brothers, a sister and a mum and dad, and I've got a church family. That's how I consider myself I've got a good life. But for someone that's maybe in poverty, they might consider they've got a good life because they've got a farm that supplies their milk or something like that. So a good life is very different for someone else. I'm just saying,
a poor person because they've got a farm.
Shut up.
It's just like
shut up. You know what I mean though? Like, they
yeah,
wouldn't
sure.
have
It was just a
anything-
funny analogy.
Shut up, Rory. But you
At
know
least
what I
I've
mean.
got the farmer.
Shut up.
I'm sorry.
But you know what I mean.
Rory, I know what you meant.
Yeah, I know
Charles is
what you
marching
meant.
in,
I know what
trying
you meant.
to come
Yeah.
tell you off.
That's little Jimmy.
What's her name again?
Or Jimmy on his farm.
Scholar, she got was it cows and goats?
Yeah.
To get milk.
Okay, yes, that's actually a really good point. I'm sorry.
To
I
get
just thought
milk.
of it like
They
a
bought
Scottish
goat
farm.
and a
It's
cow
like
from their
I've got an in with the farmer who gets me
They
milk.
won't be able to go to a shop
to get
buy
milk.
Okay,
So
sure.
So it
Yeah,
happened.
Animals are blessings.
that
It was
situation is so right.
continue.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
so rude. Charles, do you hear I got treated here?
I'm sorry. That was me. I
I
goofed.
was gonna say. I forgot my point now.
Jimmy and his farm.
Jimmy
Right,
on his
Jimmy and his
farm.
farm.
and
Right, so
goat
Jimmy,
The person with a bad life feels they have a good life because of the little things like
Little
like
blessings they get.
having milk from animals because they can't go to shops
Yeah,
to buy milk. So like for them that's a good life,
Mhm.
and for us a good life means something different. And I also think you can ruin a good life by decisions we make.
yeah,
as well.
absolutely, yeah.
So I think it is in our hands whether or not we have a good life or a bad life. Yeah.
I find it quite helpful to take a step back sometimes, and although like this, I find this is not a helpful thing to say to non-Christians, but at the end of the day, God never meant it to be like this. The fall happened. He knew it was going to, but this is not how he intended it, and B, it's going to be okay.
Yes.
Like, in the end it is. Trying to explain suffering to somebody else like that is not the most sensitive if something bad's happened and you're like, but Jesus loves you and it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
But like, deep down it doesn't take away from the fact that it could be horrible
Yeah.
for whoever's going through it, but you know that at the end of the day, like, like Jesus is going to come again.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a wee Rachel and Damien on a wee little walk. Just having a wee saunter.
Who?
Damien and Rachel joins. I think they saw that we were looking at them. Did they wave back? Did
I
they
don't
wave back?
know. I don't think
They
I
stopped
got
and waved. Oh. Okay. That was fun. Yeah, Lucy absolutely does.
No, it's a good
On the
point.
money. Anything else?
I think what he also said was good about how the world, like what the world sees a good life is like having money, like being in a stable position and just like getting on and just doing what you want to do. Whereas from what we would see would be a good life would be seeing what God wants to do and probably
Yeah, true.
using your good quality of life to help others that maybe don't have as good a quality as life. Maybe they might not have, not a bad life, but just like a lesser quality of life would be to help them, and to use you to do that. And I think as well that on the whole thing of people always blame God for suffering and God for this and God for that, but you've got to remember about what he actually did and like what he actually made and what opportunities he gave and what life he actually brought. And then you've always got to say as well, like, I don't think God intended, and he didn't like say like, oh well, I'm gonna make so and so die, or this is gonna happen to so and so, and it wasn't to try and make you pray or to try and make you have faith or anything. It's just kind of what had to happen after the fall and whatever else. What do you think, Charles?
How did it spoke? Imagine that.
It's like,
Cool.
Well done.
Absolutely. Cool. Awesome. Cool. Ella, do you want to pray and we'll finish up?
Yep.
Cool. Just thank God for good times and
good questions.
good questions and
Good answers.
thank Him that
Good
we are able to rest, which is good. That the Bible is complex for a reason,
Remember all that, okay?
and that there is a good point of life. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Every knee will bow.
Every knee will bow.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, Lord, so I just want to thank you for this lovely evening, and with everything that we've, answered and all these questions, and we just thank you that you've been here in this place right now and you've helped us to answer it and to teach us more. Thank you for that you've let us encounter you tonight. We wanted to say that if anybody is struggling with these questions or they're still thinking about them, that you just show up and to them about them. We thank you that we can come here and that we can experience you in this way. And we just pray for those who maybe think that they've got a bad life, and that you just show up to them and think, you know what, just fix your eyes on me and you'll see the good in life. We just want to bless this evening, and we thank you again. And I think it's a good idea to just maybe sometimes just take back and to think of all the good things that have happened in life. We just want to pray in your name, Jesus. Amen.
Smashed it.
Amen.
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 Amen.